3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, my name is Philip Parker and I'm here interviewing
Sherman Desselle.
Sherman Desselle is currently being inducted into the Hall of Fame for CAPA. I'm going to be asking you a few questions today and also getting a little bit into your background, okay?
Okay.
So the first thing I'd like to ask you is, or get into, is you were a student here at Northwestern State University and you were a theater kid. So can you please go over your journey about how you became a reporter for KALB?
Yeah, it all started with a roast beef sandwich. Graduating from Northwestern, fall 2007. I was done with school, didn't really have a lot of money, so I needed to move back home to Alexandria. You all will know this life. Yes, okay. So I was working actually at what is now Super One and once was Brookshire's when I was here. Okay. And I worked there in the grocery store, in the deli. So when I moved back to Alexandria, I decided to do that just to keep myself busy, a similar store. And I did that part-time, and it was a tough time at that time because I wasn't sure of what I wanted to do. Okay. I was also still actively pursuing anything performing arts. I was still auditioning here and there, doing this and that. One day, a guy walked in, peculiar guy, and he would come in around lunchtime. And then I noticed him every now and then. He would come every other day. Order kind of the same thing. We'd make small chat, whatever. And one day he asked me about my background. And I told him I just graduated from Northwestern. Told him, what I'd specialized in. And he said, "You ever considered working in a news station?" I was like, "No, absolutely not. I have no knowledge of that." He said, "Well, we have a part-time videographer position available. And if you're interested in looking at it, just come by the station." Well, my dad would always tell me to be prepared. So I showed up to the station with a suit and a couple of resumes, and I walked in. Turns out I knew people in the newsroom. The weekend anchor was NSU alum, and I didn't know she was there. Okay. The 5 p.m. producer was a childhood friend. I didn't know she worked there. I end up meeting the news director. She closes the door behind her. We have an impromptu 20-minute interview. The same guy who introduced me to the station, who was the assignment editor for the station, came back into the store the next day. And he said, "What did you think?" I said, "I like it." He said, "If you want the job, you can have it." So I started working part-time. And this was when there was still a traditional form of photographer and reporter. So I would go out with reporters and learn what they were doing. And I realized I could do this. Hurricane Gustav hit, and it forced all of us to pivot. We were wall-to-wall coverage. The city was flooded out. They had to come and pick me up from my neighborhood. It was Labor Day that weekend, I believe. And it was me and 2 other photographers in a car. We were treading our way back to the station, but we would see all this devastation while we were driving there. And we needed to pull over because the producers we're down on the vine. We're down on the vine. We need content. We need coverage. Well, we didn't call it content at the time, but. So I get out of the car, we get the camera rolling, and I start doing interviews with people.
Okay.
And when I got back in that newsroom, and the anchor saw me, and they were already done with talking because they had been talking for hours. They saw me and they said, "Put a mic on, come and sit on the desk. Tell me what you saw." And that's when I realized I was a journalist.
Okay, so that was so you would say your journey and stuff, that was you were basically exposed
Absolutely.
into journalism. You didn't learn anything, just threw into it and you
And so that was June 2008. By that fall, I became full-time. And that following year, I said, "You know what? I want to do this for real. I want to be a reporter." So I became an MMJ the following year. And I was actually one of the first MMJs at the time there. So it was kind of my fault that I had changed the culture of the newsroom because they were no longer hiring reporters who just reported. They started hiring MMJs because I was working that hard. Okay. So that was the following year. Then the following year, I became an anchor. And then I got onto the morning desk, and I did that for 7 years. So a total of 11 years at home. But I'm going to go back to year 2 when I asked my assignment editor, "What made you take a chance on me?" Because I didn't know anything. He said, "I figured If you can make a roast beef sandwich with a good attitude, then you can do this job. And I've been keeping that mantra my entire career. I always tell people whenever I get the opportunity, it's about your attitude. Many times people are qualified for the job, but their attitude stinks. And no employer wants to deal with that. But when you're talented and you are willing to work with people and willing to be teachable, you can go through so many doors. So, yeah.
So you said that you need to be willing to work with people, and we've done a little research in your background.
Oh,
so
okay.
now I learned that you're not only a member of Alpha Psi Alpha, you worked in the church, which means that you were deeply involved in community service.
I was.
So how would you say community service and working with people in your community helped shape you into the person you are today?
That's a loaded question and a very good one. In my business, you have to really make sure that you stay human, that you stay connected to people. And I think what has helped me in almost 18 years of doing this is always finding ways to stay connected to people and being empathetic and having some compassion. Because oftentimes we show up to somewhere, they don't know who we are, and we have to make them feel comfortable in a matter of a couple of minutes.
That is true.
And so my goal is to learn everything I can about you in a short period of time, find some type of common thread, and be able to get you to open up to me. And so because of the fact that I was so involved in the community and I would take out the time to learn different people and the demographics and the cultures and the environment, I'm able to adapt very quickly. And because of the things that I learned in theater, POY had taught me about character analysis.
Can you go over that for
Yeah,
me?
sure. So one week we were told in my intro to theater class, pay attention to how someone walks on campus. And I want you to come back to class and walk like that person. So I did that. And then she said, now let's create a character out of this person. What are they into? Where are they from? Are they dating? What do they like to eat? What are they worried about? And we turned that into a character. And then she went the next week and said, turn it into a monologue. And so now I analyze character. I analyze people when I walk up to them. I say, you know what? He's probably not going to talk to me. Based off of the environment, based off of what I look like versus what he looks like, based off of the situation at hand, he might not talk to me. But he may talk to me because of what I've observed. So it's funny that I never touched the journalism department, but all the things I learned in the performing arts building, I apply it in journalism.
Would you say that helps you stand out in your specific field?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My ability to storytell in the way that I do it. I have been told on several occasions that I am very conversational in my delivery in news versus so many people who try to emulate what they see on news. Many people approach news with this two-dimensional robotic approach when people really just want you to talk to them.
And so my other question that I have for you is, you are being inducted into the CAPA Hall of Fame. You are also a Black man. And this is, if people don't know, a PWI. How does that make you feel?
I hadn't thought about that, mainly because I had such a good experience here and I didn't quite understand the distinction between the two campuses until later on in life. I think that this environment always matched my childhood because, I grew up in a Black community and I was a part of it actively, but I also went to schools that were real diverse because of all the things I was involved in high school, speech and debate, performing arts. It opened me up to different people anyway. If anything, it benefited me just because I was able to see things with different lenses, But I've wanted more of a HBCU experience? Maybe, but that didn't happen. This was what became my home, and so but getting back to your question, it wasn't up until maybe about 2 weeks ago when it really hit me that this was happening, and I realized that to a certain degree, I still deal with a little imposter syndrome because I kind of disqualified myself for this honor, and then I thought, no. You're qualified for this. You've done the work. You should step into the recognition. So I'm embracing it. It's interesting, and with the distinction of me being a Black man, I don't know. I hadn't really thought of that. Maybe I'll get back with you on that.
Yeah, because a lot of gotta think about it. A lot of people who are now Black men who are also taking non-traditional roles into like going into like reporting and things as such. You could be, some could view you as a role model. That being said, who was the first person you told when you said you were being inducted?
My dad.
Your dad. Can you elaborate like why you went to him particularly?
I went to him because he paid for school.
And that's real.
I went to him because he paid for school, and because anytime there was performance in McGill, anytime there was performance in A. Fredericks, my dad was there. He really motivated me to not just go to school, but to finish. And I'm a reflection of him. The performing arts, I get that from him. The ability to communicate, I get that from him. I used to watch him lecture and talk to people and present things and work a room. I watched him do that. And so he was the first person I called.
So you would say like your dad is the reason you are the man you are today?
Yeah, partly, for sure. But also my family, like my whole family. My oldest sister, Natalie, her and I had a lot of conversations when I was here on campus because she was in entertainment for years. She passed in 2020, but prior to that, she had a career in acting. I don't know. I might be throwing this off for you because it's a while ago. Have you ever seen Babs?
You said Baps? I have not. The hell? I have not heard.
Have you ever seen Cinderella with Brandy and Whitney? The stepsister is my sister, Natalie Desselle Reed. That's my oldest sister. Theater and music, all that comes from Natalie, my dad, my mom. So that's why I dedicated this honor to her, because I know that she'd be extremely proud of me. Yeah. And then I called my wife and I was like, hey, listen, because she went to school here too. So it's pretty cool.
Okay. All right. So as a non-traditional reporter, what advice would you give to students of all different backgrounds who are also taking a non-traditional path? I'm talking theater major. Maybe they're they were first going pre-law, now they're going into reporting. What advice would you give to them?
I'd say do all of it. Do all of it if you can, if it doesn't stress you out. Okay, for instance, you're pre-law. You got a totally different track, right? But they'll always need, in this business, legal analysts, legal contributors. You can do law, but you can dabble into journalism if you want. You can start your own op-ed, Just know that the business is changing a lot. It changes every 6 months. I'm looking at it from a higher level than I have before. Alexandria's market 170-ish. New Orleans was market 50. Houston is market 6. And so everything that happens in the industry starts in the higher markets first. And so what we're seeing is a lot of changes in the industry, a lot of uncertainty in the industry. And so the other thing you're seeing is there's the traditional forms of journalism have to catch up with what's going on right now. So all the people who were my parents, that generation, the people who would watch appointment television, who would go home and watch the 5 and 6 o'clock news, they're dying out. right?
That's true.
People in my generation, they still watch news, but not as much, and they watch it whenever they want to watch it. Younger people, your age, don't watch it at all. And they don't know how to verify the information. So your job as a journalist, whatever track you take, you need to make sure that you understand the ethics of journalism, understand the principles and the basic practices of journalism. And regardless of whatever track you take, like, do what you want to do, but if you want to get into the journalism side of it, there's always room there. And there's more opportunities than ever to create your own lane. You don't have to do legacy media now. You can do your own thing. But with that comes a major responsibility. So make sure you got the 101s down first before you step out and do this thing. And be teachable. Be teachable.
Okay. And my last question is, before I let you go, is what advice do you give to everybody here?
Just keep working. Keep working. You're at the point of your life where you're trying to figure things out. And you may have it figured out, but then life says, you need to do something else. So you need to be willing to pivot. Just work hard. And in this economy, take advantage of the fact that you're still on your parents' insurance plan. And you won't have that many bills. Save your money. Have all the experiences you want. Just take care of yourself mentally and physically. Because as the world changes, you need to be stabilized. You need to stable yourself. So just keep working. Just keep at it. You guys, I think you guys are on a great going in a great direction. I love all of everybody's. I love your energy, the charisma. All of that stuff is needed. Not just in the industry I'm in, but just in the world. Period. Just go out there and just be the best person that you can be.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming out here today, and thank you for giving me your time.
No problem.
And hopefully I see you again.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Oh, that was awesome.